Wedyn da fiol, as yw da bwys genwch unwaith arter. Hag as o earthec yn gawr yn zeth yma, yn gawr, the weather, on yn gwyns yn glaw ma. The Cornish word for a storm or terrible weather is hagar awil, and the first part of the word hagar also means ugly or cruel, and the weather certainly has been ugly and cruel this past week, and I hope those of you listening have managed to make the best of what has been a difficult week for all of Cornwall. To move straight on with the programme, we are continuing this week with the series of discussions about Cornish heraldry and family names, with Julia Allard talking to Dennis Endine Ivell, whose bardic name is Andine, about Cornish heraldry. And today, Dennis is talking specifically about coats of arms. Originally, of course, coats of arms were literally that, clothing worn by armors in the field to distinguish one side from the other. Here's Julia Allard talking to Dennis Endine Ivell.
In the past, there certainly have been many hundreds of Cornish families with arms. We usually tend to associate a coat of arms with the nobility or high upper class landowners and so on, but it's not necessarily so. Quite small gentry, small in the way of possessions that is, used coats of arms. On the continent, which is getting off the subject slightly, even the peasants used coats of arms to distinguish themselves and seal documents and so on.
Yeah, so could you give us an example? Could you describe one, perhaps, for us?
I can describe a few that have some bearing on the Cornish language, actually. There are quite a number of coats of arms in Cornwall which were designed as a pun on the surname. Like in English, you have the three arms in armour standing for Armstrong. Well, that's fairly obvious. But in Cornwall, we have those such as Trembleth.
So what does Trembleth mean?
Well, Trembleth is a place name, and it could have come from the homestead of the Wolf. It could have done. But when the family that took on that name adopted a coat of arms, the main feature of it was a wolf. So they obviously knew that Bleeth was wolf in Cornish and decided to use that as a pun.
So this would give a lie to the saying that the Cornish language was only used by the peasants.
Oh, I don't think that can be said in any way, because all classes of society would have had to be familiar with Cornish. They had to, even the incoming whatever, would have to deal with their own people. They couldn't just isolate themselves by sitting in an ivory tower speaking English or Norman French or Latin or whatever. They had to speak the language of the country, and everybody around spoke Cornish.
Can you give us any more examples then?
Yes, the Gregor family, for instance. Now, the name Gregor is probably just a diminutive or a shortened form of Gregory, but their coat of arms showed three partridges. In Cornish, Greekyar, or heather hen, literally, is the word for a partridge. So they weren't named after partridges by any means, but they just adopted this sign because it made a pun.
A pun, yeah.
And put three of these partridges on their shield. There are plenty of other punning coats of arms not in the Cornish language in relation to Cornish families. The Tremaines, for example, had three hands, Tremaine, all right? Well, it doesn't mean that in Cornish, obviously. It was a sort of French pun, if you like. And another family called Tristane, although stain is clearly to do with tin in Cornish, the family at that period thought it was something to do with stone, so they had three stone columns. Tristane, three stone columns, you see. An English pun, if you like.
What about the family Kegwin?
Well, Kegwin is often said to derive from white dog, and I suppose Key Gwyn is white dog, certainly. Whether the place name meant that, I wouldn't like to say. It could mean even something so remote as Holy Hedge, I suppose. Key Gwyn, or Key Gwyn.
Yeah.
But they used three white dogs on their shield as an obvious pun on the name.
So there you are. Any Kegwins listened, perhaps that's interested you particularly. And you can hear more of that conversation with Dennis Endine Ivell and Julia Allard in next week's Kroeder Kroghen. Now on to some music. And this song, Avon of Vunan's River of Life, was, as many of you will have already heard before, the winner of the Cornish music competition held last year for Kernewek Celtic, and in fact represented Cornwall in Killarney in Ireland. Avon Avunans, River of Life.
Avon Avunan, I have
Avon Avinans, River of Life. Scrifis in huer gans Julia Allard, ha kennis ena gans Gaja. Lemon Nebbers Avisianzo, some notices. First of all, concerning GCSE Cornish, There will be a GCSE Cornish this year. The examination centre is Poole School, where I teach, and if there are any students in Cornwall who want to take the examination this year, they will need to let me know, John King, Poole School, as soon as possible, please. It is possible for adults to take the examination as external candidates, as well as for school children to take the examination, but adults would have to pay the examination fee, which is approximately £13. If you're at all interested, get in touch with me, John King, at Poole School, please. And again, advance notice, a long way in advance, that the county will be holding a second teacher training course in November of 1990 at Foy Hall for teachers who are interested in learning some Cornish to be used in the classroom, either primary teachers or secondary school teachers. There will be more details of that closer to the time, but advance notice that that course will be taking place, and full details of the course will be included in the county in-service training booklet that goes round to teachers. Fifthly, from the Kroeder Kroghen diary, Trev Lawrence is going to be beginning some classes in spoken Cornish, and they're going to start this coming Tuesday, January the 30th, at the Old Vic pub in Bread Street in Penzance. And if you would like to learn some spoken Cornish, or you just want to brush up on your Cornish, or you just want to chat in Cornish with Trev, who can chat the hind leg off several donkeys at once, I can tell you, then Trev will be more than pleased to see you. Starting at around 7:30 at the Old Vic, Bread Street, Penzance. Cornish classes with Trev Lawrence, starting this Tuesday at 7:30. Well, Kernewek rag heddiw, time to move on yet once again. Just as I'm saying goodbye, just a quick appeal on behalf of some friends I know who won't be listening to the programme. They never do because they never can. That's my many good deaf friends at the Cornwall Deaf Centre in East Charles Street in Camborne. Those of you who are hearing, you're very welcome to call into the Deaf Centre to see what's going on, and please bear in mind the difficulties deaf people have very often in leading ordinary lives like you and I take for granted. Well, mi ragus gwelys nesa Sathan, bis enna, digena chwiol, durabli veril the priest. I'm off to get my chair and cups of tea sorted out to watch Super Bowl all night into the early hours of the morning. Bis enna mi ragus gwelys, kinspel. Digena chwiol. God be with you all as always. Digena chwi.